Hello, everybody. This is Martha Hines with Living the One Light. So this video is going to be regarding the full moon in Virgo coming up, happening on March 7th, March 8th, March 7th. But I'm also feeling called to, in talking about the full moon, also talk about the role of various asteroids and Kuiper belt objects, parts of astrology and the solar system that don't get talked about as much in traditional or sort of mainstream astrology, if any astrology is mainstream. But the more commonly talked about things don't tend to include some of these asteroids and planetary bodies as much. And, the more and more I learn about astrology, the more I drop into the energetics of existence, the more that I learn through my praying and my own experience. And I'm not alone. Lots of you feel this way too. These other asteroids and planetary bodies just are crucial. So I want to kind of take a step back and answer a couple questions I've been getting about them in general, and then talk about how I feel some of their energies really playing into not only this full moon, but also into this time of 2023 and beyond. And so just to start with the full moon, one of the things that really drew my attention about the astrology of this full moon is that it's going to be at 16 degrees of Virgo, and it will be conjunct the asteroid Lilith. So I want to show you that chart real quick for those of you who follow astrology and want to see the chart. It is here. And so the full moon, the moon will be on the full moon, the moon will be at 16 degrees, 40 minutes Virgo. The sun will be at 16 degrees, 40 minutes Pisces. And the moon will be right in the same part of the sky as the asteroid Lilith. So today in the Goddess series class that I'm doing with my friend Verena Burrell, one of you asked the question, are all these goddesses that we are covering in that goddess series part of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter? And my answer was no, because actually in that goddess series, we are talking about some of the planetary bodies that are not part of the asteroid belt, that are actually outside of the orbit of Pluto. And so I wanted to, and we're including those because Verena and I both feel really called to not only these goddess asteroids, but also many of the other planetary bodies that are being talked about now by Pam Gregory and Heather Ensworth and other astrologers, including in our goddess series, we're going to be including Eris, Xena, and Sedna, for example. And so I want to just for a moment show you the astronomy related to the asteroid belt versus the Kuiper belt objects. So I just want to for those of you who are interested in a little bit of the astronomy of it, to me, it helps a lot to be able to visualize it because it helps me to sort of tap into what is the energetic role of the asteroids versus these Kuiper belt objects, which are really far away and are outside of the orbit of Pluto a lot of the time. So I'm going to show that to you as well here. If I can find it. Where is it? Here we go. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Okay. So this is really cool. This is solarsystem.nasa.gov. So it's a NASA website. And again, solarsystem.nasa.gov. So in here, we can zoom in. Okay. We can look, I clicked on, they have a little tab up there that says solar system, and that's what I clicked on. So you can do that and play around with this yourself, but it's really awesome. So in the center of our solar system, of course, is the sun. Then here, the next planet, the planet first, from the sun is Mercury, then Venus, then the Earth, then Mars, and then the next planet is Jupiter. But between the orbit of Mars and the orbit of Jupiter, we have the asteroid belt. So you can see here is Vesta. Here is Psyche, which is an asteroid that I talked about in a talk I gave on Eros, because Eros and Psyche are mythologically related. And here's Eros. And then here's Ceres. Ceres is actually the goddess that we're focusing on in our goddess series right now. We just did that workshop today. And that goddess series is still available for anybody who wants to sign up. We're doing one goddess per month. So yeah, so here's the asteroid belt, and there's, a bazillion asteroids in this area between Mars and Jupiter. And something really cool about Jupiter is that the gravitational pull of Jupiter actually is what keeps this asteroid belt partially. It's part of what keeps the asteroid belt away from the, going toward the sun or toward the sun. So in a sense, that's part of why Jupiter can be thought of as a protective energy, because it's in a sense protecting us from all of these asteroids flying toward us or into the sun, really, which I just find really, really cool. Okay, so then if we keep zooming out, then after Jupiter is Saturn, and Saturn's orbit was before telescopes the farthest out planet that was visible in the sky. So that's why Saturn is often associated with limits, boundaries, that kind of thing. But just to say, I'm going to be giving a free talk on Saturn on March 2nd on the EA Zoom calls. And I will, for any of you on my email list, I'll send out a link to come to that talk. It's going to be on March 2nd, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, there's a whole set of things that I want to drop into about Saturn and how we can revision our relationship to Saturn. Because one really cool thing about Saturn that I will talk about more in that talk is that Saturn is actually a gaseous planet, and it has these rings around it, and it's thought of in most of astrology as a very, like, those limits and boundaries being a harsh thing. But actually, when you think about the planet itself, it's gas. It's not solid. So the limits, even those rings around Saturn, which can represent limits, are actually very well, yin. They're gas. They're not hard rock. You're not hitting up against a wall. You're meeting with essence. So yeah, and one major thing coming up exactly at the time of this full moon, 1 hour, or maybe I think it's 70 minutes or something after the full moon is exact, Saturn will be moving into Pisces for the first time in almost 30 years, right? Because Saturn has an orbit of 29-ish years. So so this this revisioning our relationship to Saturn is huge component of the energies coming up in March and around the time of this full moon. And Saturn moving into Pisces, you know, to me is like it's returning to source, it's returning to Pisces, it's returning to the essence of what it really is. And so I want to devote time just to diving into that whole concept, which I will do in that free talk on March 2nd. Again, make sure you're on my email list if you want to have the link to that. I would love to have you there. Okay, so there's Saturn. And then the next planet out after Saturn is Uranus. And then after Uranus is Neptune. And then after Neptune is Pluto. Okay. And then we have all these other things that are being discovered outside of the orbit of Pluto, such as Eris, or Eris was originally named Xena. So I'm actually also going to be giving a free talk on Eris Xena on in the first Thursday of April. I think that's April 7th. Again, 1 p.m. And also for that, make sure you're on my email list to get the Zoom link for that. And Eris is one of the goddesses that we're going to be covering in our goddess series in a few months. So again, so Eris is not part of the asteroid belt. She is part of this set of planetary bodies that are actually outside the orbit of Pluto. And then another one that's talked about a lot is Haumea. There's Makemake. And so a lot of these are being discovered, you know, more and more in depth over time. There's so many of them, and Pam Gregory talks about them a lot. Another one is Sedna. This is not showing Sedna. But Sedna is huge right now because she is going to be entering, she's been in Taurus since something like 1966, I want to say. And she's going to be entering Gemini for the first time exactly. Well, her dance, she's going to be going retrograde back and forth between Taurus and Gemini exactly as Pluto is going into out of Capricorn into Aquarius and back into Capricorn. So as Pluto does its dance between Capricorn and Aquarius, it will be exactly trining Sedna, doing a dance between Taurus and Gemini. Fascinating. Okay. So again, this is solarsystem.nasa.gov for anybody who wants to see this. I just wanted to show that to you because it's really cool and hopefully helpful to understand the difference between the asteroid belt and then the outer planetary bodies in the Kuiper belt. And also there's other stuff, but I won't get into that right now. Okay. So with that, one of the things I wanted to emphasize is when I am feeling into the energetic of our whole solar system and actually just of existence. One thing I feel, I don't know why I feel called to say this, but I feel really called to say this, is that when I'm feeling into the role of the energy of the asteroids, they're close in, they're relatively close in, they're between Mars and Jupiter, right? So they're kind of in between personal planets, which are, the personal planets are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Moon, Sun. So they're just outside of Mars orbit. They're not quite to the transpersonal planets. They're in between. But they're still, I experience them as personal-ish. So when I look at, let's say, Lilith, the asteroid, conjunct the full moon in Virgo for this full moon coming up, Lilith being conjunct that full moon for me feels like it's in my heart, like it's part of me, right? It's also a collective energy, but it feels like it's speaking to me personally. When I think about Sedna being trine to Pluto, as Pluto and Sedna do their dance between the two signs that they're each going in and out of over the next 3 years, 2-3 years, because Pluto and Sedna are so far out in our solar system, Sedna is farther out than Pluto. To me, it's like they're holding this huge space for all of us collectively. And certainly Pluto and certainly Sedna have personal impact or personal meaning, personal relevance. Obviously, everything does. Everything is a microcosm. There's nothing actually out there. It's all in us, right? And at the same time, I really feel them, those outer planets, those outer planetary bodies, as holding this vast space. So I was just on a walk to the ocean. I live really near the ocean, right? And I was thinking about Sedna, and I was thinking about this trine that Pluto and Sedna are going to be doing. And one thing that dawned on me that's crucial, feels really important to say, is that when we're just focused on the more traditional planets like Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, the moon, sun. Okay, if we're just focused on those, when we think about a transit like Pluto squaring the nodes of the moon, which is huge this year, gigantic, like the big thing happening this year, one of them, gigantic. It's very easy to feel alone. It's very easy to feel like there's this energy of being very isolated. Like, okay, you see the nodes of the moon and you see Pluto squaring the nodes. And, you know, one of the things that arises for me in that is that this is a massive year, massive time of transformation, of a choice point, of a moment where, as a collective, as beings on this planet, we're being asked to transform yet again, to be the caterpillar that goes into the chrysalis, and to go really internal in a sense, and let go of a lot of various things, conceptions we have about structure, about all kinds of things. Okay. I feel that's all true. And that's all really important. And if that's all we are seeing in our solar system, that can feel really scary and really, again, lonely and isolating. And like, we're just that caterpillar going into the chrysalis by ourselves. We just have to do this underworld journey by ourselves, the end. Doesn't sound really fun. Doesn't sound really great to me. However, guess what? Those planets are not the only things that exist. In fact, there are infinite things that exist in existence, right? So, I mean, even our solar system is so tiny compared to what exists. Our galaxy is so tiny compared to what exists. So when we're thinking about astrology, one thing that, you know, the spirit world kind of laughs at me about astrology a lot, because they say, yeah, cool, awesome, do astrology. And don't forget, humans cannot possibly represent what is actually in reality everything, right? Like for me, astrology is really about the song of the cosmos. It's about, when I look at an astrology chart, I feel and I see the essence of energies singing with each other. So each of us was born in a moment that was a song, that was a vibrational configuration that was like beautiful and perfect, and that we emerged into, and that is part of the song of who we are. The ultimate song of who we are is source and is our soul and our spirit. But the astrological chart can kind of give a hint, in a sense, I feel like, of what that song can feel like and be like in us and in the world now. And then the current transits are like a song being sung with the song that is the moment we were born, right? So, but when we capture that moment, any moment, as a song, in a sense, of the astrology of that exact moment, or the astronomy of that moment, it is only capturing the teeniest, tiniest fraction of what was actually going on throughout all of space in that moment you were born, or in this moment, or in any moment. So again, the spirit world kind of laughs at me about astrology in general, because they're saying, well, it's the tiniest fraction of reality. Like, it's a good tool, and also don't take it too seriously. So here I am talking about astrology, but the point is, we can't capture everything. That's impossible. That's not helpful to even try. And I do believe everything is a hologram. Everything is, anything you look at is really going to be reflecting infinitely more. That's a reflection of that tiny little fraction of a thing. Okay, so I don't feel the need to explore absolutely everything. However, I do feel absolutely, definitely called to understand and include much more than the reality of just moon, sun, Mercury, blah, 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 through to Pluto. Primarily because, well, one big reason is because those planets, and this is just one reason, but those planets that we talk about in traditional astrology are largely masculine, or thought of as masculine at least. And so the stories and the myths that go along with them tend to be coming out of patriarchy, tend to be the patriarchal version, actually, even, of the stories associated with masculine gods. There's Venus, who's often thought of as feminine, and there's the moon, who's sometimes thought of as feminine, sometimes not. You could think of anything actually as feminine, but typically these planets have mostly been talked about as masculine. Okay, so there's a rebalancing needing to happen there, period. And I think there's so many ways for that to happen. But one simple, easy way is to include many of the goddesses and many of the asteroids and these planetary bodies that are actually not even feminine. Some of them are associated with gods, such as Eros, which I gave a talk on recently, and many other not commonly talked about things are actually named after gods, not only goddesses. But my point is, when we then add in the stories of especially these goddesses, but actually also just the beings of all genders, the story of what's going on in the sky and what's going on in ourselves has a completely different flavor. So, and the main point of the different flavor that I want to convey in this video is that when I feel into the goddess energies and I feel into just including much more of what's actually happening in the solar system, in the sky, in the cosmos, suddenly I come to the realization we are not alone. I mean, I come to that realization for lots of different reasons having nothing to do with astrology. But, you know, when we think about Pluto squaring the nodes, just to use that as an example, again, that can feel really scary and alone. But then you notice, aha, Sedna is trining Pluto and is going to be trining Pluto this whole time, this whole 2 or 3 years when Pluto's going back and forth into and out of Capricorn and Aquarius. And if you watch my last video, you know, I talked about how much turmoil and things I'm feeling in terms of the politics going on right now. And in particular, I gave some examples I won't repeat, but this time certainly can feel very overwhelming, can feel very scary, on and on and on. And I do think there's going to be a lot of transformation asked of us and all of that. Okay. And I'm not an expert on Sedna, so I don't feel capable to really go into her mythology right this second. You know, I'm learning about her right now myself. But one of the things I do feel about her is that she, again, is holding this massive space, because remember, she's farther out than Pluto. So she's holding this massive space. She's one of the energies I feel. I often get shown the whole time-space continuum like a womb, like this, you know, infinite womb. And then I feel and I see light beings holding space for the entire time-space continuum. And in my praying, I'm taken outside of the time-space continuum every day. And I'm told, you know, that's part of my role. And I think that's the role of a lot of us on the planet right now, is that we are here simply to be holding space for the entire time-space continuum. Sounds insane, but it's true. I feel it. This is absolutely part of my role. And I think the role of many of us. And I think we are those light beings, and we are here on Earth for whatever reason, haven't figured that one out, but to be holding space, to be grounding in, and to be present like that. And I feel the energy of Sedna is just like one point of light in our particular solar system, which again is tiny in that whole time-space continuum. But I feel her energy as one of the strong, powerful, feminine, healing, transformative energies, just being present in our solar system with us, as us, in the time-space continuum, and in a sense outside of the time-space continuum, just holding the space. So when we are, you know, we have this Pluto journey, this need to go into the underworld and transform, go into the chrysalis and transform. It's like Sedna is just present, and she's saying, yeah, and I got this, like, I'm here. We're all here. You know, we are these strong light beings at the same time that we're transforming as humans. We are also human, and we have limitations that humans have, and we feel the pain and the sorrow and the fear and all of it. And I certainly don't have all the answers, but I feel that very strongly. I get shown that in my prayers every day, and I feel in myself that boom, that need to be rooted, grounded, present, aligned as source, grounded and aligned as earth, as an earth being, a being of earth, remembering ourselves as earth and remembering ourselves as light at the same time. And actually, when you know, Pluto will be going in and out of Capricorn and Aquarius, and Sedna will be going in and out of Taurus and Gemini. So they're both going from earth into air, and earth and air, and earth and air. And so I'm feeling into what is the purpose of that? I think there's so many answers to that question, but one thing I do feel is that when they do that dance between earth and air and earth and air and earth and air, I think it's an opportunity for us to integrate what it is to be both a being of earth. And this is accentuated this year also with Jupiter going into Taurus and then going retrograde in Taurus, and all the retrogrades of Mercury being in earth signs. You know, there's tons and tons and tons of support right now for us to remember ourselves as earth, to remember the reality that we are earth. Our bodies are earth. We're not on the earth, we are earth. Okay. So, so this dance between earth and air of Pluto and Sedna, I feel like is helping us to remember and integrate the reality we are earth, and then we are vibration. So air signs, Aquarius and Gemini, both have to do with communication, air, vibration, especially Aquarius is more of the vibration quality, and then Gemini is more the communication quality. But Gemini has to do with words, communication, which is often through vibration. And so we are both. We are earth as the vibration of light. If we go into an extreme of being the air sign, we can get really ungrounded. So there's this need to do this over and over again, to be earth and vibration. Earth is vibration. That's one of the things, is that earth is a being of light too, embodied. We are embodied light. We are embodied vibration. You know, everything, all of life is vibration, and we are embodied right now in this earth body. So I think that energy gives us an opportunity to integrate both realities. Okay, cool. So yeah, so when we bring in some of these goddess energies, some of these planetary bodies and asteroids that are beyond what we typically talk about in astrology, it helps us remember, like Sedna, we're not alone. We're being held by so much, including ourselves, including the higher, if you want to call it the higher selves of us. I feel it. I see it. I get shown it every day. I'm here on Earth, and I am right there, one of those light beings holding the space for this whole time-space continuum. And I know that's true about so many of us. So again, it sounds crazy, but I really feel it. I really know it. And it can make me cry. It's who we are. That is absolutely who we are. Okay. So now back to this full moon. Okay. So the full moon, like I said, is going to be conjunct the asteroid Lilith. And so now I want to talk a little bit about Lilith. So Lilith is another one of these helpers. She's another one of, you know, the beautiful goddess energies that I feel very personally called and drawn to. The asteroid Lilith happens to square my nodes of the moon personally. So it's a very, very, very powerful energy for me. And Lilith energy, again, this is one of the goddesses that we'll be covering in the goddess series in a few months. We'll go much more into depth on it then, but Lilith energy in general is an energy for me that it's a part of us that knows our true power, that maybe has doubted our true power, and then learns to fully, completely claim it, know it. It can be an energy in us that maybe we have felt ashamed or like we needed to hide, and then maybe we do go away for a time, and then we come back, and we find our full power somehow, maybe through a Pluto transit, because Pluto is very much about power. And often when we have Pluto transits happening, we have a time where we associate our power with something else or someone else. And then that thing maybe is, taken away or goes away or whatever. We experience maybe a loss, something we feel as a loss of that thing. And then somehow we reconnect with the reality that actually the power of existence is ourself. So whatever that thing was that we thought was the power we wanted or needed wasn't real. Or maybe it was real in a certain way, but somehow we come back to our own power. That's very much a Lilith energy. And when that energy of Lilith in us remembers the full power that we are, then maybe we come back, and we come back in our full power, our full presence, where we can be that powerful goddess that we are, and we can be met in that full power that we are. And when circumstances or people or even ourselves don't meet ourselves as that full powerful goddess energy that we are, we can evolve to a point where there's not necessarily a need to reject the thing that's not meeting us there, but it's just a simple, like, it doesn't match. It's just cool. Okay. This is, I am a powerful, full-fledged goddess, and there's no need to argue or fight about it. This doesn't work for me. And, and now I ready and I meet with what does meet me with that energy. So at this moment of the full moon, Lilith will be going retrograde in Virgo, conjunct that full moon. And so this time in general of Lilith going retrograde in Virgo just accentuates that sense of self-sovereignty, that sense of knowing in ourselves, in that temple that we are, our own power, the beauty that we are, the perfection that we are, the power that we are, and that power is actually in service, Virgo, as the temple that we are, Virgo, to the divine. That like the Virgo quality of Lilith just emphasizes for me that Lilith, being that strong, powerful goddess that we are, isn't just for the sake of being power. It's also the real ultimate truth of it is that we are that power to be of service to the earth, to the divine, to ourselves, to love, to, highest love, Pisces, which is the polarity of Virgo. So the sun will be in Pisces, the moon will be in Virgo, and Lilith will be conjunct the moon in Virgo, again, going retrograde. And then just on a really brief level, I also want to mention at the time of that full moon, actually a few days just before the full moon, Venus is currently just entered, when I'm recording this video, just entered Aries. And a few days before the full moon, Venus in Aries will conjunct Jupiter, and also will conjunct Vesta. So, and Jupiter is currently opposite Ceres, which happens to be in Libra. Okay, so there's all of these goddesses sitting with Jupiter right now in Aries, and then Ceres going retrograde in Libra. So there's this dance between the Libra energy and the Aries energy, with goddesses on both sides, but in particular in the Aries sign. And there's Vesta in Aries. There's Vesta in Aries right now. There's Juno in Aries. There's Estrella in Aries, and what is and Venus. Venus, the original one I was talking about. So all four of those goddesses are in Aries, right near Jupiter. So Jupiter expanding, protecting, bringing consciousness to all of this energy of Aries, and with these goddesses. And soon after the full moon, Jupiter, Vesta, Estrella will all be conjunct Chiron. Okay, so how do I put this all together? This is a beautiful dance, because what I look at and see there is this balancing trying to happen between Libra and Aries. And this full moon is in Virgo. Virgo has a really powerful relationship to Libra energy. And then Libra has this very powerful relationship to both Virgo and Aries. And to sum up, how I experience the dance between Virgo and Libra, and then Libra and Aries, is that Virgo, again, is ourselves as the sovereign temple that we are, which is crucial to feel, to click into before we move into Libra. Virgo, the sign, comes right before Libra. So before we move into Libra, where we're relating to others, it's really important to get clear and solid in that sovereignty of the temple that we are. So when we're then relating, we can be clear, like, here's my sacred sovereign truth, and here are my needs, and I can be open. Now I'm in Libra, I can be open and truly listen to your needs at the same time that I'm anchored and rooted and grounded and clear about my own needs. So that's the dance between Virgo and Libra. Then the dance between Libra and Aries, which are polarities to each other, is very, very similar. Slightly different, but really similar. Because in Aries, we can be very clear about me. We can be very clear about my desires, my needs to, for action in the world. And then, but not in the sense of Aries, Aries at its highest expression wouldn't be about just leaving and doing my own thing. Aries is ruled by Mars, which doesn't leave the solar system. It goes in like to all the rest of the planets. It cycles back. So Aries energy isn't really about just freedom. I want to do what I want to do. No. At its highest expression, it is also actually in service. It maybe goes out and does the things it needs to do, has these adventures, has a will, a drive, a purpose, and then ultimately it's coming back. So it's in service also to Pisces, because Aries comes out of Pisces. So Libra comes out of Virgo, Aries comes out of Pisces. So Aries is in service to ultimately what Virgo is in service to. Virgo and Pisces are polarities. Virgo is in service to the divine. Aries is also coming out of the divine. So Aries is coming out of Pisces. Virgo is balancing with Pisces. So it's really cool, this connection between Virgo, Libra, and Pisces, Aries. Okay. So I don't know if that made sense. But so this whole dance going on this full moon between the Virgo full moon with, the sun being in Pisces, and then this dance between Ceres in Libra and all these goddesses and Jupiter in Aries. Just a beautiful combination of energies going on there. But then the one last thing I want to throw in there is that then, like I said, soon after the full moon, a bunch of those goddesses in Aries along with Jupiter will be conjunct Chiron. So for me, that brings in, this is not just about the goddesses learning this dance of sovereignty, self, and other. It's also about joining with the wounded masculine, the healing masculine, the Chiron energy, it's really the feminine and the masculine coming back together to heal and to do this dance of learning how to be in right relation with each other, how to go into the temple that is me, really feel and get it. I am literally the power of existence. I'm beautiful and perfect just the way I am. This goes for all of us, whatever our gender is. This is not only just for those of us who identify as women, right? And I can then, so this is Lilith, Virgo. Okay. And then moving on to the Libra energy, I can be clear in myself, rooted, grounded in myself, in the temple that I am. I can then come and be in relationship with you, Libra. And that Pisces, Aries element, I can also show up in the full divinity that I am and be clear about my needs, my drives, and my purpose. But I can do that in a way that is coming back to the whole, acknowledging the whole, and balancing the goddesses and Chiron. I mean, integrating all of it. So the goddesses and the divine masculine can do this dance together. It can do this healing work together. So it's a really, really beautiful, powerful set of energies. And yeah, and there's just so much there. Like, it just goes on and on. So, and like I said, I just want to emphasize again that this is all happening. This dance is all happening while Saturn is entering Pisces. And then not long after, on March 23rd, Pluto is entering Aquarius. Again, with Pluto trining Sedna. Okay, so you get it. You get this idea that there are all these asteroids, including just all of everything I just said, which are more of the inner energies playing themselves in this story. And then also this larger holding space, this larger holding energy of that Sedna Pluto trine. But again, an overarching theme that I feel when I add in the storyline of all of these players is we're not alone. We're not doing this alone. Again, there's this energetic, this powerful, transformative energetic of Pluto squaring the nodes as we move into this year, especially this summer. And even Saturn changing signs, is a lot, and then Pluto changing signs, a lot of potential feeling of change, being asked to transform, being asked, on a deep soul level to let go and transform, and that can feel scary. And I want to normalize that. And we're not alone. We're doing this as a collective. We're doing this with so much holding that space and so much strength and power and beauty and love surrounding us. Okay, so I think that's everything I wanted to say. Yeah, all right. And in terms of what I'm offering coming up, I am offering a workshop on trauma-informed basics for astrologers and healers. That is happening on Tuesday, February 28th. And if you are watching this video after February 28th, that workshop will be available indefinitely on my Teachable site. So I'll put the links to sign up for that here, and you can be there live, or you can listen to the recording anytime. So that is the most immediate thing coming up for me. And then the The goddess series, which I've mentioned a bunch of times in this video, is still available to sign up. We started with Persephone last month. This month we're doing Ceres. Next month we're doing Hecate, and then the month after that we're doing Hygeia. So we're doing 1 month on one goddess per month, and we're doing that through all of 2023, and then we'll certainly be doing another one in 2024 because there's so many goddesses, and this series already is feeling incredibly powerful and healing, both for me and Verena, and then also the people who have been attending have just been getting a lot of really, really powerful feedback. So certainly join us if that calls to you. As you can see, I'm very passionate about these goddesses, and they're needed. They're needed to move back into the world and to re-become part of that story. That is us, that is life. And, so partly so we don't feel alone, because we're not, and they are part of how we are not alone. And the community is part of how we're not alone. So yeah, we have a very strong community starting to form in that goddess series. And yeah, I'll put the link for that so you can find out more about that. And then also, speaking of community, I do also still have my membership, which I would love to have you join if you feel called for that. It starts at $22 a month. And I have a gathering almost every week for members. And then I have a really exciting, beautiful 3-day retreat coming up at the end of March, which I will say more about in very soon. It is almost ready to sign up for, and we're going to be trying to make that affordable and accessible to as many people as possible. There's a group of 10 of us that I have drawn together, of people I really respect from all different disciplines, where the focus is going to be on having an interdisciplinary, multifaceted way of soothing and healing our nervous systems and relieving anxiety and just coming into feeling good and navigating life in a way that feels, yeah, soothing in this time of so much transformation and so much, potential turmoil and all of that. To have a circle of many of us who are present to support us all in this time. So that retreat is called what is it called? Oh my goodness. The Divine Peace Garden Retreat. So the 10 of us who have assembled are being called the Divine Peace Garden Collective. And I will share more about that really soon. These are me and then 9 other amazing women, some of them therapists, some of them artists, do therapeutic art in a therapeutic way, sound healer, Buddhist teacher, just a whole compilation of people who I really respect and love, and I'm excited to share them all with you. So I will do that more soon. But if that interests you, reach out and I will send you more information as soon as I have it. Okay, I think that's all. One more thing I'll mention is I did hold a workshop last August when there was a new moon in Virgo, and that workshop is still available on my Teachable site. I'll put a link to that as well, because what we did in that workshop was I did a channeled guided experience, essentially, of remembering the temple that is us. And if that calls to you, I would love to have that available for you. I'm getting told to tell you about it. So yeah, I'll put a link to that here, because it's definitely very relevant to this full moon in Virgo, just like it was for that new moon in Virgo. So yeah, if you want to come into really experience, like on a visceral level, even the textures, the smells, really get to know yourself as this literal temple that you are, of the divine, of the earth, I experienced that workshop as really healing and grounding and soothing. And I got a lot of really good feedback about it. So yeah, if that's something you feel like you could benefit from, definitely check it out. All right. I will talk to you all soon. You can email me, livingtheonelight@gmail.com. And find me at livingtheonelight.com. And wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you.